What's up, Metal Rules? This is Nick from Celestia Wizard, and I'm here to answer your questions. What drives me as an artist to create? I've always had a love for music. I've been playing piano since I was 4. I picked up the guitar, I think, when I was maybe 10 or 11, and anytime I've ever had an instrument in my hands, I've always felt at home. And I think more than anything, that's what pushes me to create, is just my love of it. And I would feel wrong if I wasn't constantly making new music and new tunes. And another thing that drives me to create music is my band. I mean, they're all incredible dudes. They're all very motivated, the same as me. They, push me to be the best that I can be, and I never want to let them down. So that also drives me to create music. Where does the band's name come from? I love that question because people always expect something really cool, and they never get it. The band used to be called Solarfall in its very early stages, and then when we were getting ready to release Sinister Awakening, we took a step back and we're like, there's a lot of bands named Solarfall. It's Solarfall is the name of an Immortal song, so obviously a lot of black metal projects happen to have that same name, and we just didn't want to fight that fight. We didn't want to end up going up against 10 or 11 other artists who were like, oh, that's our name, you can't use it, and then have to, pull CDs back later, or whatever we were making at the time. We decided to get our name trademarked so we didn't have to worry about it, and if that ever came up in the future, we would have a leg to stand on. And a little bit of behind the scenes for that stuff. If you've ever had to file for a trademark, you know that when you have them, whatever your country or government's organization for trademark stuff is, I don't know internationally, but in the U.S., you have to pay $900 and some change, I think it was, if I'm remembering correctly, for them to even look. And then, if it comes back, they're like, yep, that name's yours, you can have it, there's going to be no issues with it, then you're good to go. But if they come back and they go, yeah, it's going to be an issue, you can't take that name, you got to come up with something else, then you have to pay another entirely separate set of $900, and they search again. And we didn't want to pay that twice because we didn't have a lot of money. So we had to make sure that the name was super unique. So we put a bunch of different words into a hat that we thought were really cool. And a couple at a time we'd pull them out, and eventually we happened upon Celestial Wizard. And we thought that was really fucking sick. And we sent it off to the trademark people, and they were like, yep, that's yours, you got it. No issues there. So we stuck with it, and we really love it, and that's how the name came to be. So we have a new album called Winds of the Cosmos that came out July 15th. And it's some of the best work that we've ever done, to toot my own horn a little bit. It's the most collaborative and creative we've ever been as a band. We had a rule going into the studio that if you were going to do anything, you could try whatever you wanted, you could get as weird as you want with it, but whatever you were doing, you had to do it with 100% conviction. You couldn't shrimp out, you had to commit to it. And I think that really pushed the whole performance forward, from drums to guitars to vocals, to whatever, weird stuff we were doing in between. And I think, you can really hear on the album how exact and punchy it is, and everything that's laid in that album is what we meant to do, and we're really proud of it. On the last album that we recorded, Sinister Awakening, it's a lot of synths, it's a lot of strings, it's a lot of horns, it's a lot of stuff that ended up being detractory from the overall piece. It was too much. So we decided to cut it all back and really focus on the bones of what makes a good performance and a good song, and that was, the instruments themselves and the people themselves. We didn't have to layer anything. We didn't have to hide our mistakes with synths. And I think that really also made a huge difference. And it affected the sound. This is a lot more of a metal album, and it's less of a compositional, concept album, if you will. It's just more hard-driving metal, and each song, the first album was a concept album, and that didn't work out for us. So this one, each song is about its own thing. They're all individual songs. They don't really have to tie into each other, and I think that makes each song super unique, and they're all really punchy, and they stand on their own. That's exactly what we wanted. So, yeah, the new album it's closer to the mark of what we always want to be sounding like, and we're really proud of it. It's the best we've done so far, and I'm sure the album after that will be even better. What inspired the lyrics on this release? As always, we maintain that fantasy element that we write about. In addition to that, this album, we wanted to dig a little deeper. We wanted to write about stuff that was going on in our lives that we cared about, or emotions we were dealing with at the time. And some of the songs on the album are very, like, that's what they are. Like, Ice Realm is about D&D, it's about monsters, it's about, fantasy stuff, and there's no hidden meaning to it. If you glean some from it, cool. But other songs like Power Throne or Steel Chrysalis definitely have a lot of emotional charge to them. Power Throne, for me, the underlying portion of it was I wrote it about my uncle who passed away a few years ago from cancer, and he was a huge influence on me in my playing early on in life. He taught me how to play guitar, basically, and I wanted to kind of write a song about what it, he never got to hear any of my recorded stuff, and that always breaks my heart. So I wanted to write a song about, what it's like to have to move on without the people that you love, and, the importance of maintaining relationships with the people that are still around, and, holding things dear to yourself. And then Steel Chrysalis, I wish Amethyst was here to talk about this a little more. That was definitely their song. They really put a lot of their emotions with what they were going through at the time into that song. It was a lot of personal change, a lot of self-discovery, a lot of, kind of coming into the best version of yourself, and that emotion carries the song. And it's one of the best on the album, and I'm really proud that we were able to make stuff that has more depth and gravity to it rather than just like, hell yeah, sci-fi, fantasy, monsters and Dungeons and Dragons, which is super cool. Obviously, we still love that stuff, but we're able to put a little bit more heart into this one, and that's great. The story behind the album cover artwork is, as a band, you kind of have a couple options when you are deciding what you want to do with an album. You can either, title it after one of the songs, or name a song after the title of the album if you already have that first, or none of that, and you can just have the name of the album or a self-titled or whatever. And for us, it was between either having it be a self-titled or titling it after one of the songs we'd already written. And we had a few options. We could have gone with Ice Realm. We could have gone with, I think Steel Chrysalis might have been on the table as well. But Winds of the Cosmos, I think, was one that really intrigued us. So we wanted to come up with something to fit that and title the album Winds of the Cosmos. And we had to get weird with it. We had to kind of decide what that was going to look like. And it came together as kind of that, like, barren landscape staring off into space, and you see the planet cracking in front of you. And we reached out to Dan Goldsworthy, who's an incredible artist. He's very well known in the metal community. Just hoping that maybe we'd get lucky and he'd do our art, and he did, which was badass. He also did the artwork for Ice Realm, which is one of my favorite pieces. And obviously that was pretty straightforward. We just, used elements of the song and like the characters from the song and put that on the artwork. So yeah, that's the story behind the album artwork, and also a little bit of a story behind the single artwork as well. Quick side note, the single that we put out, Eternal Scourge, that artwork was done by me. I made that. So there you go. Is there any new albums that have caught your ears? Yeah, I mean, it's new albums. It's more albums that are new to me. Sometimes I'll come across stuff that's been out for 30 years and I'll just have discovered it. Other times it's an album that did come out this year. Ghost put out a new album called Impera, I think it's called. Ghost put out a new album called Impera, and that was a really cool album. I saw them live right before that album came out, so that was kind of like a whole big deal, and it was really cool. Other stuff that's caught my ear, obviously, across the entire spectrum of music, I'm always coming across new stuff. I'm a huge nerd. Coheed and Cambria is a band that I always have a soft spot for, and I didn't realize they'd put out a new album last year, maybe it was, and I just had a chance to listen to it a couple weeks ago, and I thought it was really cool. Other than that, I've been listening to a lot of old stuff. I've been listening to a lot of Bob Seger and a lot of just kind of like older, just like rock and roll tunes. I really love something that caught my ear, not recently, but like maybe a year ago, was more than that. I don't know if I can even qualify this as something that has recently caught my ears, but the song Rock Bottom by UFO fucking rips. It's probably, in my eyes, the best riff in rock and roll. And I'll stand by that. It's so cool. But yeah, there's so much different music out there and stuff that I'm discovering that's been out for a while. There's stuff that comes out, is on my release radar. So yeah, there you go. Denver's music scene is super cool, and I'm really proud to be a part of it. There is so much good music and so many good bands out there, especially in the metal scene, and I'm just, I'm proud to be amongst them. There's so many dudes in the Denver music scene and the Colorado music scene that put in so much time and effort. Aaron Say is an incredible dude. He's been running the Seven Circle, which is a DIY venue that we got our start at. He's been running that for 8 years, 9 years at this point, 10 years maybe, tirelessly. And he's always at every show you'll ever go to. Somehow that dude is omnipresent. So if you're ever in Colorado and you're ever at a show, there's a chance that he's going to be there just hanging out. Such a sense of community in Colorado's music scene, and I really appreciate that. Like, I'm, friends with a lot of the bands. We have friends in Oak Ash and Thorn. We have friends in We Are William that we're very lucky to call, musical neighbors in a sense. And, there's elements of the music scene that aren't music-based. There's an artist. His name is Sam Turner, and he's an incredible artist. He did art for In the Company of Serpents. He's done art for 3 Inches of Blood. I think it was Fire Up the Blades that he did. He might have done some other stuff too. But he's an incredible artist, and he makes incredible stuff. And I would consider him part of the music scene as well. There's just so many cool contributors, aside from the bands, that really make the scene strong. And I'm really happy to be a part of it. Future plans for Celestia Wizard. That's an interesting question, because there's stuff that I can talk about, and there's stuff that I don't know if I can talk about. So I'll err on the side of caution. I'll only talk about the stuff that I'm for sure. If you're new to the band, this will be, kind of outing us a little bit, but we've never been outside of Colorado. I would still say we're in the beginning stages of being a band. So right now we're booking a lot of out-of-state stuff. We're trying to make sure we hit the road and prove that we are roadworthy as much as the music is. And I think that's, probably the number one thing that's on our plate right now, aside from the stuff that I can't talk about, or don't know if I can talk about. Other than that, continually writing. We've got some new members that are just incredible rippers, and I can't wait to see what the future holds in that sense for the new music. But, creating, pushing down the road, trying to get in front of as many faces as possible and really inspire you guys and continue to, enjoy what we're doing. Why does metal rule? And if you think it doesn't, then why are you playing in a metal band? Of course metal rules. Metal's the fucking sickest. If I didn't love metal, I wouldn't be playing it. I think metal rules because 2 reasons. One, I think it's a very expansive genre. There's something in it for everybody. The word metal can mean a million different things. You've got your, power metal, thrash metal, black metal, death metal, melodic metal. There's niche shit like us, like, fantasy metal or whatever else, old school heavy metal. But there's something in there for everybody. And I think within that, is a sense of individualism and a sense of identity that people can kind of create for themselves. I mean, take the battle vest, for example. Every single dude who has a vest and has patches on it, that vest is tailored to him. You can't buy them like that. If you have a vest with patches on it, it's because you've put them on there yourself and varying ways of attachment. I know dudes that super glue stuff. I know the dudes that use dental floss. I just sew mine. I have mine right here, actually. Hold on. It's just one of those, like, you get to put all the bands that you love on there, and, it's like I said, it's tailored to you, and you get to kind of create your own identity within metal, and that is super cool. And that's why I think metal rules more than anything. Obviously, the riffs are sick. The energy of the crowd is sick. I love being in mosh pits. I've got my shoes smacked off my feet because I've gotten hit so hard in the pit. Metal is sick because it's a huge, awesome community, and there's so much in it for anybody who wants to get into it. I think that caps off all the questions. I want to say thank you to Metal Rules for allowing me to make this video and putting it up and letting me just talk for a while. These are always a lot of fun to do, and I hope to do more in the future. I thank you guys for watching and supporting both Metal Rules and us. Until next time.